When I was younger, I always loved the idea of treasure hunting, the idea of following a treasure map and going on an elaborate journey to find shipwrecks of precious jewels or treasure chests full of gold. I remember reading books about treasure hunting and watching fun cartoons about pirates and their whimsical adventures. I found these explorers so ambitious because they have the most inspiring drive to endure such risky journeys with different obstacles and dangers they have to be vigilant about all the time. I know most of you know at least one cartoon or a book or even a live action that deals with the pursuit of lost treasure and the lives of the people who embark on those journeys. And when you think about it carefully, you'll see that this idea of a journey to find lost treasure can be equated with our experiences this year. Firstly, it didn't take too long for us to start developing our ultimate goals for the year ahead. I remember hearing people say they wanted to earn an academic tie, or that they only wanted to get sixes, sevens, or eights. I know there were students, particularly new ones, who wanted to make more friends or get closer to some of their friends, and others who really wanted to win excellence pins in sports. However, we started this year with big obstacles to overcome. There were so many new rules to follow. Mask wearing, social distancing, and cohorts were the new normal. It was especially hard for new students who had to adapt to both the COVID regulations and the new environment, and bridge learners who had to cope with the challenges of distance learning while everyone else was at school. So, if you think about it in the context of a treasure map, we all had treasure that we really wanted to obtain this year, and the treasure was different for everybody but valuable in its own way. But it wasn't like the treasure would just come to us like that. Just like on a real treasure quest, we had to dodge bullets and face challenges we never saw coming, which brings me to my next point. We never saw it coming. Though we knew of the COVID protocols we would have to follow before coming back from the summer break, we didn't know that we'd have to reorganize ourselves again and move back to remote learning after the winter break indefinitely. We didn't know that we'd have to find new ways to communicate, to collaborate, take tests, to socialize, to keep fit, which are things we often take for granted when we school in person. We didn't know that after being allowed back at school for several weeks, we'd be back at home, doing online learning and staring at our screens for the end of year ceremony for the second year in a row. That is where the discrepancy lies between the idea of a hunt for treasure and what we as a class have experienced this year. Treasure hunters often have maps, treasure maps that more or less warn them about the obstacles they're going to have to face before they even start the journey. But we had no guide, no roadmap, no nothing. We had no way of predicting what would happen as the year progressed. And because of the tricky circumstances, getting some of the treasure we hoped for just wasn't possible. For example, near the start of the year, I was chatting with two friends who were excited to be part of this year's play. They were excited to sing, to act, and to wow the audience in the Mandeville Theater. That couldn't really happen this year because of restrictions. I know I told myself I was going to form as many close relationships as I could. But given our circumstances this year, that was really, really hard. Some people were really looking forward to doing a service trip this year for the first time, but rules around the pandemic prevented activities like that from taking place. So these treasures have been put on hold temporarily. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put an end to the pursuit for your treasure. In fact, I encourage you all to keep setting goals for yourselves and to work hard to reach those goals. But what it does mean is that we need to start acknowledging the treasures we've acquired along this roller coaster of a journey without realizing it. The treasures that may seem less important, but may even be more valuable and long lasting, and the treasures you initially hoped for this year. Let me explain. In many of the treasure hunting films or cartoons I've seen, there's always a very difficult experience that changes the treasure hunter in a very meaningful way, like learning the importance of friendship or becoming more kind and caring, which is a treasure in and of itself. Now, all of the obstacles we had to overcome this year were like concrete walls that had to be pounded down with a sledgehammer, which in our case is resilience, the strength to recover from the disappointment and break through the walls that wanted to hinder our success and progress. We've also learned to readjust to big changes on a monthly and sometimes even a weekly basis, and that's what we call adaptability. And of course, we've learned to be patient because this year, more than any other year, we've had to just wait. Wait for an announcement from the premiere, or just wait for things to go back to normal, which we're still doing today. Resilience, adaptability, and patience are only three of the many qualities we've developed this year. And it's because of the challenges we faced and overcame that we were able to acquire these treasures. So, in conclusion, this year, some of us have met our goals and others have had to wait to achieve them. But regardless, we've developed qualities and learned something about what can really be treasured. I don't know about you, but I don't think we would have grown as much as we have had this journey been normal. And if this year was normal, most of us would have taken hold of the treasure we originally planned to. But a lot of these goals, like winning excellence pins and subject awards, are short lived. Sure, you can look back on these achievements and be proud of yourself, but the treasure also lies in the lessons we've learned and the qualities we now possess, which will serve us well for the rest of our lives. Come September, some of us will be continuing in upper school and others will move on from Ridley and embark on a new journey. But I encourage you all never to forget how invaluable your grade year really was. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to take the opportunity to appreciate all the lower school's faculty and staff for all their effort in giving us the best year possible and preparing us for the journey ahead. Thank you very much.